What's happening, Pod Squad? This guy needs no introduction. Like, no introduction. You know who he is. Judd's here. Judd, it only took like 130 or something episodes for me to finally get you on. And that's entirely my fault. It's not yours at all.
So good to be here, man. So good to be here. Looking forward to jamming with you.
My theory was that the longer I wait to have you on, the better it's going to be. And this is like the max amount I could have gone. It's time.
Well, I will say this, my friend. My hair is getting slightly grayer as the days pass, but I'm glad you caught me while I was still in the game. You know, I'm kind of at that point where I'm ready to. No, I'm not retiring. I'm kidding.
I was just gonna say, like, where's this going? Hot off the press, man. We're 1 minute in. I have so much I want to talk about with you. Truthfully, when I was preparing, I didn't even know where to start. But I'm going to start with this. How hard was it building Asphalt Kingdom to what it is today? How hard was it actually?
This is a good one. That's a good question, man. I haven't been asked that question before. How hard has it been? I mean, it's been really, really hard. There's been a lot of ups and downs and all arounds. We're celebrating our 23rd business anniversary at the end of this month, and it honestly has been one of the most incredible rides of my life and one of the most challenging rides of my life all at the same time. When I first started seal coating way back in the day when I was like 18 years old, when I had $8 in my pocket and $5,000 in debt because I decided to buy a Bose surround sound system when it first came out, and of course financing, but man, oh man, like Jumanji, when that lion would come out and do the big roar in the living room, that was one of the best surround sound moments of my life. I used to play that thing over and over and over again with my $5,000 stereo that really wasn't mine yet. No, but seriously, it was $8 that I started with. And so I think back to that day. I think back to like what my core values were then. And I think about where my core values are now, 27 years later and more than half my life. And I think about the transformation that has taken place throughout the pain, throughout the challenge. And so, yeah, it's been really hard, man. It's been really hard. There's been enormous amounts of self-doubt in the earlier stages, like when I was first building it, not knowing if this e-commerce site was ever going to work. I remember sitting there listening to Lose Yourself by Eminem, 8th Mile. You got one shot, one opportunity, don't let it go. And I literally had a punching bag that was next to me, and I would listen to that on repeat on the Bose surround sound system. And I would type on my keyboard, man, punching out content day after day after day from morning till night, and punch the punching bag every time that I thought that I was going to throw in the towel. And I just relentlessly developed content. And that was in the really early stages, like year 1 and 2, where I was making no money, like zero. I was going backwards. Yeah.
Am I right that the entire idea for Asphalt Kingdom was born? I got the impression that it came from a lot of research, ground level research. Like the idea that you had was basically born from the impression I have, finding out the pain that so many businesses were having, combined with what you saw happening in other industries. Like, am I close? Because I guess what I'm really getting at, Judd, is like what it is today. Is that what you thought it was going to be like 23 years ago? Not even close, eh?
No. So first off, it wasn't really, on my side when I was first starting out, I actually had no idea what kind of website I was going to build. I had gone through a course called Site Build It and read a book called Make Your Site Sell 2002. And it was written by Dr. Ken Evoy. And he's a good friend of mine, actually, believe it or not. Ended up going to Anguilla and built villas there and lives kind of between Anguilla and Panama. And so he was a mentor to me in the earlier stages of my www.development, or the intraweb, as we used to call it. But it was in the action guide that he wrote that really stimulated Asphalt Kingdom. It wasn't the problems or pain that I was facing in the asphalt industry as a guy who had built and sold a business in this industry. Because to be clear, like, I had $8 in my pocket. I bought an $8 bucket of sealer from Canadian Tire, and that's what I started with. Nothing was silver plattered for me. Nothing. My parents didn't silver platter it. I wasn't lent any money. I started with $8 that was literally in my pocket, with one 5-gallon pail of sealer to do a 2-car driveway, a single, as we call it. And that turned into $150. So throughout that period, until the time that I sold the company, which provided me and the family with enough money to move to the Caribbean and live a really cool life until we figured out what we were going to do next. It was then that book instigated the thought about a body of knowledge, a passion, something that I knew that other people didn't know. And when I had originally started reading the action guide, I was thinking about selling like iPods online. They were like new and flashy at that time. Believe it or not, that was like the first gen. And I was like, man, this is a hit. I'm going to get rich off of this. I'm going to build a website. Everybody's going to drop ship this stuff. I'm going to do incredible. And then I started going through the keyword research tools and started determining that the demand and the supply is exceeding the demand in these early stages. And then he's like, no, dig into your passion, a hobby, a body of knowledge that you have, and really niche down into something, because that's where the riches are. And so I started to carve into that. And I remember reaching out to my father and saying, I think I'm going to build this website and call it like asphaltkingdom.com. And he's like, that sounds pretty cool. He's like, how are you going to make money with it? I said, I have no idea how I'm going to make any money with this thing, man. I'm just going to put information out there because Dr. Ken's telling me that I must follow a formula. And man, oh man, does this formula ever work, by the way. Here you are, listeners, listening to a podcast. So let's dig into the formula. He taught me that you needed to generate content first. It's a CTPM formula. Content generates traffic. Traffic, you pre-sell. You pre-sell that traffic and you monetize at the end of the line. People do it backwards. They start with the end. They focus on the monetization first and they screw it all up, or they beep it all up, right? Like, legitimately, content, traffic, pre-sell, monetize, content, traffic, pre-sell, monetize. Believe in your content that you're outputting so much so that it drives not just traffic, but targeted, qualified traffic. And then pre-sell them properly. Give them as much value as you can. And then you'll monetize. It comes. There is no other option.
You know what's funny is I feel like what you just said has only really been pushed and made prevalent in the last few years. Just from my experience, I've seen a huge increase in, like, people who follow Hormozy and who are now buying into give it away the information, right? Sell implementation, but provide all the value. So when you started doing that 23 years ago, 22, 20, and right, like you even said it, Judd, like the first 2 years where you're not making money, like how much doubt did you have in that formula? Because I'm guessing the monetization, when you put the monetization at the end, it's probably pretty stinking hard.
Yeah. When you're not making money for a couple of years, you've got money, right? We've got money saved, but we're burning through it, living in a 5,000 square foot villa on the beach and living a good life after we sold the business. But that doesn't last very long when you're 22 years old. You can have a couple $1,000,000 and it goes real fast. Living a lavish lifestyle, especially when it's not invested. But during that time, when I was going through that development, I doubted myself every single day. But this guy, Ken Evoy, who multimillionaire, who has built tremendous success, multiple patents, toy inventor, sold to Mattel, like all kinds of experience and knowledge, and was my mentor, is telling me that I must FTDP, follow the dang process, Judd, follow the dang process. You will reap the rewards. The dividends will come. I promise. Stick to it. Stick to it. Nothing happens by magic. You must feel pain. You must feel challenge. You must feel adversity in order to grow. And if you have a trainer, a mentor that's in your corner, a coach that's there who has been there and done it before that you trust, continue to excel, continue to accelerate on the path that you've got shaped for yourself. There is nothing worse than feeling fear of failure and not having a frickin' plan along with a coach or mentor that can guide you through that pain, man. Because I'll tell you, people throw in the towel. It's why there's so many companies that are out there failing in the early stages, is because there is no real solid plan. They're wandering in the fog alone, wishing that they could join a community, wishing they could join mentors that can give them that direction. So the thing that brought me through the pain, through the challenge, through the self-doubt, through the times that I was literally about to throw in towels and give up, was having a mentor in my corner that I believed and trusted.
I've been asked, I don't want to speak for you, but I've been asked, do you ever feel like giving up? Like, has that ever crossed your mind? And I usually say, like, are you asking like this week? Like, do you want to talk about how many times I've had the thought this week? Yeah, it's a constant thing, man. You got to ask why you're doing it. And because if you don't, you're going to be kind of hooped. You're going to be hooped.
Yeah. Yeah. Giving up, Cam, to me at this point in my life, 46 years old, a team of 30 plus people at Asphalt Kingdom, a culture that's one of the most beautiful cultures that you'll see in a company. People kicking the sheets off to come to work, that they don't call work. They literally call it life. And it's like people on our round tables that are team members that don't need to be there, that are at 8:00 at night, just there to be building community and culture. And so giving up to me now there is no giving up. It doesn't exist in my vocabulary anymore, because I've built such, I shouldn't say that's very selfish. We've built a culture, not just with our team at AK, but also the communities that are now building this culture that is it's like a freight train. And it's like every time that there's a hater out there or somebody that ends up trying to derail the culture, the train is at such a momentum and speed that we've built over 23 years, that literally blows through any of those brick walls and will jump tracks and back onto the track. Like, it's just not, you can't stop it, because it's not me dictating culture anymore. It's legitimately everyone that's a part of it is continuously building and bringing people in it. So the self-doubt, the giving up, those kind of things doesn't exist anymore. It's gone.
Was the culture always that way, or was there some specific time where, yeah, you're already shaking your head? Yeah. What was the thing that either put you, I appreciate what you said about, like, it's not me, it's we. And that's, I know you're being genuine with that, but at the same time, it also has to start with someone. And there's probably something that happened in those 23 years that made your answer go from this to this. So what was that? What was that thing that made the culture actually go, like you said, like a freight train?
Yeah. It was a very, very important moment in time in my life that changed everything, for sure. In the early days with Asphalt Kingdom, when we registered the domain and built it, it was a very informational site, but transactional, working with drop shippers that could ship the products, finding key partnerships that could fulfill products for us and get it to clients, and, making 25% margin transparently on the equipment and supplies that we sell to stay healthy, stay profitable in double-digit teen kind of ranges, right? And so, again, open. I'm open book. There's nothing to hide. So at the end of the day, what I will say is that Like that was really transactional for me in the early stages. It was how much money could we make? How many 10-gallon melters could we ship? How many spray systems could we sell? It was very transactional. And then there came a point in time, because I have a mindset of always be learning ever since this point in time. And I'll share it with with your audience. I don't share it with many. I shared it on Cultures Matter podcast with Jay Duran. By the way, that's a podcast you definitely want to be listening to. Jay's a badass individual. You know that. Because this is culture at the end of the day too, right? Like everything we're speaking about is culture right now. And so there was a point in time, okay, let's get into it. My wife was pregnant with our last son, Theo, and he was born 2 days after he was born. He had respiratory and cardiovascular failure and died in front of us. He went blue on the table, flatlined in front of my wife and I while I was holding his brother, my other son, Kai. And he physically was gone. He was dead. And we looked at each other, and the doctor said, "Would you like to hold your baby one last time?" And of course, that flipped my wife into a real rough spiral, and she fell to the ground. I picked her up, tried to comfort her. How do you comfort a mother that just carried a baby for 9 months and then they lose their baby in front of you and gone, blue on the table? And she ran out of the room, and I followed, and we went into another room, and we were in this state of almost disbelief. It's like you get into these moments of, it feels like a dream, and you're very, very, very different feeling. It's like you're in a deep REM sleep with a really vivid dream inside of another dream's dream. And you're in this moment of prayer internally without even vocalizing it. You're kind of in this moment of I want to fix this all. And as her husband, as her best friend, as father to our other child and my other son, it's like all you want to do is fix this, because you can already see what the future has in it, and this is an emotional impact that is going to be very severe to us. And she's gone through a lot of loss in her life, so this is it's a real tough spot. And that's 2 days after he was born. And so 15 minutes went by of comforting her. A doctor came in to talk with her. And I left the room to go find out what we were going to do with the body. And I went out into the hallway. And as I went into the hallway, I had to use the restroom. I had to take a leak. And I was bawling, man, like just, swollen face, tearing, and went into this little green door that was kind of underneath a staircase that went up to the second floor. I took a leak and turned around, and there was this small mirror, and I remember it very vividly. It had like kind of a worn out rusty mark around the edge, and it was this mirror, kind of dirty mirror, and a sink, and I'm washing my hands, and I looked up in the mirror and I prayed as hard as I could, man. I was like, God, if you're out there, because I'm not a very religious person, spiritual, but not very religious. But I can tell you, I was trying to find God, man. And I found God. I legitimately found God through that message, through that communication, where I said, forgive me for all my sins, forgive me for the things the pain that I've caused, for living a life that has been not complete or full. Forgive me for all the pain I've caused people. Give me a message of what it is that I genuinely need to do to bring this child back to life. And I prayed really, really, really hard. And the message was literally in that moment, you have to help as many people as you possibly can in your life. Like that was the message that just hit me as hard as I could. I have goosebumps right now. I'm emotional about it. I walked out of that bathroom, walked down the hallway into the room where he was, and Dr. Karima Matthews Daly had her hands on her face at the table, at the desk. And she said, "It's a miracle he's alive." And I, in disbelief, I'm dreaming again, right? And I look over and the heart monitor is going beep, beep, beep. And Theo, who's now 8 years old, is alive on the table. And I go over and I very calmly stick my finger in his hands, in his right hand, and he had, intubated and blood and nose, and he's just laying there, and they were just leaving him. We had a team from Colombia that was flying in on a med jet to come and take him. This is earlier before he died. They were already on the way from Bucaramanga, Colombia. And I'm holding his hand, and there's this firm squeeze off this little broken baby's hand that just warmed my finger, like literally this tiny little hand. And that was the squeeze of God saying that, yeah, this is real. And so that's when everything changed for Asphalt Kingdom. It's when I got tattooed with a lighthouse. It's when we did the round tables, when we started doing roundup events. It's where we started to give away as much as we possibly could, and why I spend as much time doing what I do every day, because giving up's not an option. Helping as many people as I possibly can, and hopefully your audience is being helped through this story and this message right now. But that's why I'm here. This is why I do what I do, brother.
That's a phenomenal story. Thank you for sharing it. That's absolutely incredible. And isn't it, like, I was just thinking at the end, like, it's kind of interesting that there's so many different ways that a person could accomplish the end goal of trying to help as many people as possible. And I don't think many people would say, well, pavement is a way to do that. So much of what you believe in, what you talk about, is getting people started. So what is it about helping people get started in their pavement business? Like, what does that end goal look like for them, and what are you trying to accomplish with them through not just selling equipment, but obviously Asphalt Kingdom's a lot more than that. So
yeah, like the e-commerce side of our business, the equipment and supplies is the most boring part of our business. I'm the least in love with that, man. Like, legitimately, it's not what I'm passionate about. It makes the most money for us, but it's not where my heart beats. It's not where I can help as many people as I possibly can through what I've committed to. It's different than that. Starting someone in a business is like, takes me back to that moment of having $8 in my pocket and walking up to that very first door, and like, and the guy comes to the door and I'm like, it's Judd from Imperial Asphalt Maintenance. I'm in the neighborhood. I've got some seal coat. I'm a hardworking young guy. I'll clean the edges of the grass back to expose the whole driveway. I'm going to seal up those cracks that are on the driveway, and I'm going to seal coat it matte black to bring out all the colors of the property. And I'm going to do it for $150. Give me a shot, man, so you don't have to spend a Sunday getting your boots all dirty. Would you give me a shot? Yes, Judd, I'll give you a shot. Fantastic. I turned the $8 into $150. And it's like that moment for me where I became an entrepreneur, where I became a business owner in that one transaction, and believing with conviction that I could repeat that again and again and learn and scale and grow. That's what I desire to help people with when they're first starting, is like like a bronze, silver, or gold package, or the equipment packages. Guys, you could go get finance and buy every nice piece of equipment that you want out there, really, like, or you could start with a 5-gallon pail. It doesn't really matter. But where the true spark and excitement comes from us is where somebody actually looks in the screen at you, and they're like, or in person, and they're like, dude, thank you so much, man. You lit a spark in me that's turned into a fire that now burns around the clock, man. I've literally converted into an entrepreneur that's building my very own business. I'm in control of my own schedule, my own time. I can come home and be proud of what it is that I'm doing. And it's not going to be replaced by AI or a recession or a pandemic, if that ever happened. And it's like, that's the thing that excites me, man, is helping people get off the couch that might be on their mother's couch in the basement, covering up their one eye with beer bottles and cigarettes all over the table, and saying, I could do that too. Like, and man, like, there's so many people, Cam, out there that, and usually comes from the hater side. They're like, man, you know, we don't like Asphalt Kingdom because they start more businesses than anybody else in the industry. Sorry, man, I got a promise to God. I'm going to help as many people as I possibly can, whether they're starting or whether growing and scaling. And there's plenty of pavement out there for absolutely everybody. And the ones that are usually complaining are sitting on their couch wishing that they could do something instead of scrolling the Facebook groups. What they should be doing is out there accelerating their business like we're teaching people how to do.
Is it that simple for you? When the words come out of your mouth, what you just said, because you can't grow anything successful and certainly large at scale, a team of 30 people, without having some people who will have a negative view of it, right? And no business is perfect anyways, so whatever, don't strive for perfection. Is that how you keep yourself grounded through negativity that you see online for either the company or even you yourself? Because when you say it, Judd, it sounds simple. Like, yeah, I'm on my purpose and my mission is bigger than what your opinion is. But how hard is it actually?
Good question. Before the incident happened with Theo, it was really hard because those people, like 10 people, by the way, it's like maybe 10, maybe 15 out of thousands. Like we've got 36,000 people in our HubSpot database that are profiled, qualified, that we interact and engage with ongoing through marketing and sales efforts. But like 10 people, we'll leave the list off your podcast because there's no need for it. But before that list of 10 people used to fire the hate. And it was like, maybe I should question myself. Maybe it's not okay that I live a dream life in the Caribbean while I'm making 8 figures. Maybe like that in revenue. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should be in the ditches grinding and I should be doing the seal coating and maybe I should do the crack sealing and all of that stuff. But when it happened with that message from literally God, that I got that message, how can I do that? How can I serve my mission? How can I leave legacy behind? How can I serve what I committed to if I'm not doing what it is that I love to do? I have to have the oxygen mask on me, living a life filled with freedom so that I can energize as many people as I possibly can out there. So the people that used to hate are no longer existent. Really, I don't see them. And generally people are sticking up for the culture that we've built. They're protecting it. And so it's got like today, dude, I wake up literally in my daily 9, like my morning routine is like 3 things that would make today great, 3 affirmations, and 3 things I'm grateful for. Like that's my daily 9 every single morning that I wake up to is that. Then I go for a run. This morning I ran 5 miles in paradise, by the way. I'm at our property in Panama and Buenaventura right now. It's 1.5 miles of beach. We drive around in Polaris Rangers, 18 holes of golf, private airstrip, helicopter pads, villa. My children are homeschooled by a private teacher that we've hired. My wife is super happy. She gets to play tennis and work out, and we live a life that's a dream. Like that's my daily routine. And that's what I'm committed to living to myself, for my family, and then doing things like this and building culture in our industry that was non-existent for many, many years. Like, Brian Hess and I have talked about this in the past. Marvin, the discussions that go on about the people that really drive culture into this industry are the ones that are leading that culture that other people are now embracing and saying, man, I want to join this culture. The stereotypical blue collar worker of just coming home unhappy in the dark to a microwave dinner, calcified on hands with blood on your knuckles, with feeling no love and abandonment, and then turning to alcohol and drugs and all the other shit. It's because there's this feeling of just being alone, man. And we're trying to break that. That's why we do what we do. I believe that's why we're here.
That's awesome. That is fantastic. I want to just ask you a little bit more. It's super, super like tactical and niche about the people starting. And ironically, Matt's going to hate me saying this. I'm probably going to regret saying it. But, when we started putting out content, when I started the podcast, I identified pretty quickly without any advanced metrics that there's a much larger audience of people who have not yet started in their business, in their entrepreneurial side, but they want to, and so they consume a lot of content to try and start and facilitate that spark that you said. And identified right away, man, we get way more clicks, views, likes, engagements, way more if we put out content about that. And Matt in particular, my video guy, he's like, dude, we crush when you talk about like starting the business. And I was like, yeah, but it's not really the thing that jazzes me up the most. It's more for the people that are already in the business and either trying to grow, scale, having problems recruiting and hiring. But so much of something you said that I wanted to ask you about was the idea, and I see the idea that so many have that, well, this Judd guy started this company, sells overpriced stuff. Now everyone's doing it and the market's flooded. But you said, like 10 minutes ago, you said it's something akin to it's always bigger than you think it is. Can you elaborate on that? So I guarantee you there's going to be someone listening to this. We're not quite at Joe Rogan levels, but there's going to be someone listening to this in the audience who's like, well, I'd like to start. And yeah, I think it's flooded. I don't know if I should. What would you say to that person?
Well, anybody that's coming into this with an interest of doing something, like, I'm assuming it's because you don't have a job, you don't have another business. You might be getting laid off from Nestle, 8,000 people because of AI or whatever it is. Like, there's a lot of people that are looking for opportunity right now. So no matter where you fit in that particular demographic, I will say that you want to just go for a quick drive around your neighborhood first and tell me if you see asphalt everywhere. And if you see asphalt everywhere, and you see that there's potholes and cracks and seal coating and line striping opportunities in your neighborhood, like just go on Google Earth, man, and just go to Street View and just do a virtual tour if you don't want to drive around to save the gas money. And then what I would do is I would go to Google and type in seal coating businesses in your area, and I would call the top 10 companies and see who answers their phone.
I love that suggestion. You and I know what happens. What happens, Judd, when you call the 10?
Well, I mean, if they're using our AI call answering agents, the phones are answered 24/7 around the clock, and they're pushing the leads right into the AK- platform. Sorry for the plug there, guys, but I mean, I had to. You were
supposed to. It's fine.
Like, but legit, like, if they are using that, then you're having AI that are AI call answering agents that are customized literally for the business, custom tailored. We have knowledge base that's built into it. So it's asking all the right questions, profiling, qualifying, et cetera, and then pumping the leads into their AK- platform. But if they don't have the AI agent that's answering, maybe there's a human that's answering. And I want to really ask you to identify how that human is answering, because the majority of people don't even know how to answer their phone. Most people don't answer the phone. Most people who do answer the phone don't know how to answer it properly. They don't know how to profile and qualify and ask the right discovery questions and then set up proper appointments that are going to be sales qualified leads versus some, oh yeah, here's a phone number, email address, and we're going to come do a free estimate. Like, you want to burn time, that's how you do it. And so I would make the phone calls. Next, I would look at the number of companies on that list that have a website that looks awesome. That does a really good job, that is found in the ranks. It's indexed in Google. Do they have a Google business profile? How many of these businesses have 2-star ratings? How many have maybe 3 reviews that are 2-star ratings? Do some social proof research around that. And then basically look at things and say, can I do better? Ask yourself, look in the mirror. Can I do this better? And if your answer is no, I can't do it better, it just means that you haven't connected with us at Asphalt Kingdom, because we have all of the checklists and all of the training and all of the tools and everything you need to be able to do that, like literally in your circle. That the community provides you with that. And if you still feel like you can't do it from there, then maybe this business isn't right for you. But if you want to create inevitable success, my best advice to you as someone who's starting is hitch up with the Tin Man and Lion and Scarecrow. No Dorothy on this one, maybe, but hitch up and let's travel the yellow brick road together, man. And we do that together, like legitimately a band of brothers. It's the way we roll.
You ever seen that famous Cardone clip? Not a huge Cardone guy, but he's giving a keynote somewhere, and they're talking about how your humans answer the phone, and he calls the guy's company from the audience. Dude, incredible! It's insane. So Cardone calls this guy's company, and someone answers the phone, and Cardone basically says, "Hey, I'd like to buy stuff from you like right now," basically, and the person on the phone said, "Well, I can't really help you with that, but I can take your info down and I can get you." And Grant's like, "Whoa! Is there someone I could talk to now?" No, not right now. No. And so as a business owner, you're shaking your head because I'm hearing that. I'm going like, "Are you kidding? Someone wants to buy stuff now. Like, what are we doing? I don't care if you're like just a part-time receptionist. Sell it. Like, do it." So let's get techie. Let's promote some AK stuff because it's actually quite cool. I just started looking into the AI phone answering myself. So you've already got that built in. So from what I gathered, what you just said, it's AI. Someone phones the office line. You can talk to a virtual receptionist or an AI receptionist, and that's going to automatically gather the information based on the knowledge base and the questions, feed it into the CRM, and it's just that easy. Am I close?
Yeah, it's that easy. Now we have a rep inside of our company, a team member that like literally specializes in the onboarding of any of our clients. So there's a questionnaire that's filled out, geographical areas that you're wanting to work, services you provide, any other specific questions that you want in discovery. We've got our general knowledge base, but we modify that based upon the survey. And then we go in and program it. You can select your voice, the tonality, all of the different stuff relating to that. And we basically build this out customized. You get to test it first, make sure that you're really happy with it. If there's any mods, we go back and modify it. Mackie is amazing. She literally rocks this. And the call comes in. It can be a live transfer to yourself. So if somebody wants to speak to a live agent, boom, bingo, bango, transfer. But if you're not available as a live connection at that time, it won't be offered. So there's opportunities there. The whole goal was 24/7, be able to answer calls around the clock and then pump those leads right into the AK Dash platform. And AK Dash has just gone like we're investing an enormous amount of time and money into it. It's really it's growing real fast. Like we did the deal with Attentive.
I read about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're the exclusive platform to use Attentive in the pavement industry, and it's fully integrated into the platform. So now we have basically the whole pavement assessment module that's built into AK Dash as an earlier stage in the pipeline. So you have leads, sales qualified leads, pavement assessments, proposals, closed won, closed lost, and then work order, and it moves on right to execution or operations pipeline. But like we've integrated that, and we have a huge announcement that's coming up. Actually, I could probably do it now just for fun. This would be
Judd. Let's do it.
Yeah, so we did a deal with iViewIt as well. So you're going to be able to do ground and aerial assessments. So imagine you're able to do something virtually where you can send the viewers to the properties, do the photos and the video walkthrough as per the survey. And those viewers, there's thousands of them all over the country. 48 hours later, you have your ground assessment completed, and you also have your Attentive blueprint and aerial takeoff done. So now you can offer your customers your ground and aerial assessments of their lots and be able to move that in your pipeline to a next stage, which is here's the recommended path of what you should do reactively. Here's what you should do proactively. And we're also tying in open AI so that it can create 10-year budget plans for the pavement based upon the ground and aerial as well. I dropped this way early. My team is going to kill me, but this is coming, and we're going to absolutely help as many people as we possibly can to grow their sales of their business. Yeah.
I think you got I don't know, Matt does the scheduling. I think you got like a 2 or 3 week buffer. So I don't know when when the exact date this comes out. So, that like, it's getting so silly easy now. Like, and sorry to clarify what I mean. It's getting easy if you're just doing it on your own. Like anyone can go use one tool by themselves. So it sounds like what I hear is you're gathering all this in together so that you can take it from literally the phone call to the qualified, to the proposal. Now you got ground level. Now you got OpenAI feeding the tenure. It's just getting too easy.
Well, and imagine just, let's just expand our minds beyond just that, right? It's like, oh, well, now what we're basically saying is that we can upload a CSV of addresses on a bulk upload and essentially have a whole list of assessments that are automatically completed by a push of a button. And so there's a cost associated with that, but what's the cost per leads that you guys are paying right now on some good leads that are coming in, right? And so what we're trying to think of is, how do we proactively build a prospect list that is ultra enriched so that you can go to somebody and say, we've actually gone ahead and done a complete free pavement assessment for you. And here's the portal to access all of the data pertaining to your pavement square footage, linear feet of lines, your catch basins. Here's the aerial blueprint takeoff. Here we actually did a site visit where we've taken photos of your catch basin repairs and things that are liabilities. It's all done proactively. Here's your assessment. We'd love to earn your business. Now, going back to the beginning of what we spoke about in the earlier stage of the podcast, it was CTPM, content, traffic, pre-sale, monetize. I'm asking you all what kind of content you are producing out of there to build the right kind of qualified traffic. Like we can stay very fluffy on the top, or we can enrich this down to a level of concentrate that's going to allow us to build our business and optimize it to literally a machine. It's a pretty cool thing.
I feel a little bit exposed because, I am one of our core values at our company is innovation. We're always looking for ways to do things. How can we do it quicker? How can we do it more efficient? And it's never to replace people either. It's like, no, how do we enhance your job? How do we make it better? But I can also just tell, just even the last 2 minutes, like you think about this way more than I do. You're at that stage. I ain't there yet. I hope maybe I can think about that more. So because you think about it more, I feel like you're much more qualified to answer this question than someone like me. What do you think it looks like in 5 years?
Love the question. I don't think that it looks all that different for our industry as it relates. Like, I don't think we're going to have robots, okay, physically performing work. Yeah, there's some striping robots and stuff like that, but they're not even close to being ready, like at grand scale. So I think that our industry is protected that way. I think we'll be one of the last, us in roofing.
Sorry, it's so funny you said that. I just saw the robot. I have to say this, that does the shingles, and it looks cool, but you could just tell, like, man, logistics, heights, there's a long way to go there. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now technology, man, it's one of the reasons why we're so heavily, like, we're investing, again, an enormous amount of time and money into AK Dash to serve the industry. And the reason for that is that we've listened to our customers and our community scream for ways of being able to generate more leads, close deals easier, and grab market share from the people that are doing a bad job at it. In addition to that, helping them build a really profitable business that doesn't focus on revenue, because that's frankly vanity. I think cash is definitely sanity. And so helping them do that in a way that's non-chaotic, we'll just say. We'll say it's proof through the systems. I see this all advancing. Everything that I'm speaking about, AI, site visits. When I think of workflows, automations, when I think of being able to do mass bid submissions or assessment submissions, that's where we're going to be going. And so for the people that are not harnessing technology and AI and things that I'm speaking about right now, who are in our industry, there's a very good chance that the people who do will end up grabbing the majority of your market share.
I completely agree. Yeah, I completely agree. That's an awesome assessment. All right, we tell people 45 minutes, so I got to wrap this up. Um, Gosh, I have so much more I want to ask you, so I gotta choose carefully. Okay, I will choose this. Thank you for coming on, because yeah, you have a lot on the go, and it's just it's a privilege, man. I'm glad you're here, but I also know that you have gone on other shows. You're very visible online. Obviously, you're the face of the company. But I always feel like when someone's as visible as someone like you, I always feel like there's got to be some question that just doesn't get asked. And I was struggling as I was preparing for this before. Like, what's the one question? I definitely wanted to ask you about, like, what was the moment in AK's history and how you deal with the negativity. But I just feel like there's something that, you know, somebody should have asked you along the way. And I don't know what the thing is, but what is the thing? What should I be asked? What does no one ask you when you do these things? I can't help it. It's an itch, man. I just feel like there's so much more that you could say if the right person asked the right question. And I don't know what the question is.
Yeah, I think it's what scares me the most is probably what I'm most fearful of. Is probably a question that people don't ask me. You know, what
Yeah,
scares
because you
me.
don't have the appearance. You don't have the appearance of fear. So let me be the first then. Judd Burdon, successful company, 8 figures, beautiful family, unapologetically, as you should, living the way that you want to live. What is the thing that scares you?
People not achieving their full potential. That's
Why does that scare you?
because I know it's possible for a guy that was, you know, in grade one, picked on and bullied through elementary school, who failed throughout high school, who went to summer school every year, failed English, shy, never really, never really believed in myself. There's Theo right there. That, that's that's the little miracle boy. Um, but yeah, I was a guy that fear that I had doubted myself throughout all of my youth. You know, divorced parents. Um, fairy tale was broken when dad and mom split up. To again just having a really tough adolescence, and to then kind of morphing myself into the next stage of my life, like it developed into the next stage of my life, which is when I went to private school where everybody was wearing the same thing. I took my glasses off, brushed my hair, put gel in my hair, and reinvented myself to become the most popular guy in grade 10 and 11, wrestling team, captain the hockey team, from a little bullied, scrawny kid growing up. And when that happened in the high school years, when I saw acceptance from external and I started to feel acceptance from internal because I was being accepted after all of the emotional footprints that I'd gone through, to believing in myself, to then getting a job and working and making money. Bagging groceries was my first job, to then working as an integration aide with autistic children in the West Island of Montreal in the Lakeshore School Board, to then losing one of the kids that I was an integration aide for. He ended up in a coma, died, and it was summer. And I didn't want to go on unemployment insurance, so I ended up looking at an ad for Grizzly Super Sealant that said door-to-door sales, and started to learn about some sales, started to believe in myself that I could sell door-to-door, started to knock on doors and actually build relationships, solve people's problems, give them some value, and they were happy and they were a fan of me, to then having the opportunity to start my very own business. That gave me that feeling of experiencing more potential in my life, to then staying committed and disciplined even through times that were tough, with mentors that were in my circle, guiding me. Such an important piece for those of you who need mentors, you need coaches, to then, building this business to what it is today, that literally 23 years old, like the stats on that, right? Like businesses that actually 23 years, I'm 46 years old. That's half my life, legitimately half my life. Like, and I feel like I just started. And so I'm not even close to reaching my full potential, but I feel like I'm on this trajectory to reach the full potential so that when I leave this physical being and I end up in heaven and I'm looking at the angel version of myself, I can look my angel version of myself in the eyes and be really proud that I'm almost as close as I could have been to that. And so for anyone out there right now that may be challenged with where they are, surround yourself with a really, really great circle of people first, and don't just take from that circle, pour into that circle. It's push-pull. Relationships are push-pull. Don't just join and take. It's not, you don't want to be that person. That's very selfish. And then make sure that you're waking up in the morning and you're staying disciplined with your routine, but also be very cautious of your alcohol and drug and tobacco, your vice consumption, because that's a spiraling effect. And make sure you do a lot of praying. But yeah, I don't know if that's a long-winded way of answering your question, but that's the biggest fear, is me not achieving my full potential myself, and also the people around me. It's like our roundup events, our live events that we do. When we do them, it's what I tell the whole audience. Like, my biggest fear is you guys are going to leave here and just not live the life of your dreams, man.
The bigger the dragon, bigger the treasure.
True story.
Might as well go slay the big ones, you know? Well, I would go forever. I mean, thank you for what you do. I mean, I feel genuinely, not just saying this, I genuinely feel different after talking to you every time, even if it's just a short one interaction. But after 50 minutes with you, yeah, you make people feel different, man. You have a pretty special gift. Don't ever stop that. I know you won't.
Appreciate being on. I appreciate being on, and happy to come on anytime, man. Always great to jam with you as well. Love your energy. Love what you're doing. And for any of the listeners out there, stay close with Mr. Cam Roberts, and we're also here for you guys too. So let's keep growing. Let's keep winning.
What's up, guys? This episode of the show today is brought to you by our good friends at One Crew. So if you run a pavement maintenance business, asphalt paving, line striping, one of the biggest things that has helped me grow my business from literally working out of a minivan to like 7 figures of revenue was understanding the costs that we were putting into our jobs and speeding up the process of how quick we can serve customers. What I learned in business is that it takes a lot of time to make an estimate. It takes a lot of time to get your pricing. And then you're going to hear like people like me on this podcast or other successful business people talk about job costing and know your numbers. And if you're a business owner, like, you just don't have time for that. Like, you know it's important, but you don't have the time. That's why we use One Crew, and I'm so happy that they sponsored this show. One Crew simplifies that. They make everything easy. So from the moment a lead comes in, to how you estimate it, to getting the proposal to your customer, and then converting that to a work order, One Crew has simplified the whole thing. It cut our time on a sales cycle by 70% in my company. The cost savings of that alone is insane. So if that interests you and you want to know more, like, they give free demos. So here's what you're going to do. Go to getonecrew.com/stripeit. getonecrew.com/stripeit. You just need to plunk in your info, and then their team will reach out to you to set up a demo. It's totally free. I guarantee you're going to be blown away with the stuff you see. Now, if you go to that link, they will also give you, if you sign up with the program, $500 off your startup fee, which is pretty awesome. Pretty big savings. So getonecrew.com/stripeit. Take the free demo. They're not going to pressure you. It's a great software. I really think you need to see it to understand what it could do for your company, like it's what it's done for my company.